Samuel Morse was born on April 27, 1791, in Charlestown, Massachusetts, into a family that valued education and intellectual growth. His father, Jedediah Morse, was a respected minister and geographer, and his mother, Elizabeth, came from a well-educated family. From a young age, Samuel was exposed to the world of ideas and literature. He attended Phillips Academy in Andover, a prestigious preparatory school where his academic potential began to shine. Samuel's early exposure to the arts, science, and religion shaped his intellectual development, but it was in the world of painting that he initially saw his future. Upon enrolling at Yale University in 1805, Morse showed a particular talent for the arts, although his education was more classical in nature, emphasizing subjects like mathematics, languages, and history. His interest in painting began to grow during these years, and after graduating in 1810, he decided to pursue a career in art, focusing on portraiture. He studied under renowned artists of the time, honing his skills and gaining recognition for his work. Morse's early years were dominated by his love for art, but his encounters with scientific ideas and technological innovations planted the seeds for the later developments that would change his life forever. In the early 1830s, Samuel Morse was primarily focused on his career as an artist, but an event that took place in 1832 would shift the course of his life. During a voyage back to America from Europe, Morse encountered a discussion about recent developments in the field of electromagnetism. This sparked a deep curiosity in him, leading him to explore the idea of using electricity for long-distance communication. At the time, the idea of instantaneous communication over vast distances seemed impossible, but Morse, like many inventors before him, was inspired by the potential of new scientific discoveries. Morse became increasingly interested in the work of scientists like Michael Faraday and André-Marie Ampère, who had made groundbreaking contributions to the study of electromagnetism. Their theories suggested that electricity could be used to transmit signals, an idea that intrigued Morse, especially in the context of how it could be applied to communication. He saw a world where messages could be sent across great distances, bridging gaps that once seemed insurmountable. Driven by this fascination, Morse began experimenting with different ways to transmit electrical signals, and it was during these experiments that he developed the concept of the telegraph. However, it was not a quick or easy process. Morse faced numerous challenges in creating a working model for a device that could send electrical signals long distances. He struggled to develop a reliable method of transmission and communication, but his persistence paid off. As his experiments progressed, Morse found ways to make the telegraph both practical and efficient, eventually leading to the creation of a prototype that could send and receive coded messages through a series of electrical pulses. This was the beginning of a journey that would transform the world of communication forever, setting the stage for the eventual revolution in how people would connect with one another. In the early 1830s, Samuel Morse was determined to turn his vision of long-distance communication into reality. Drawing inspiration from the recent advancements in electromagnetism, he began experimenting with using electrical impulses to transmit information. At the time, the concept of sending messages over great distances using electricity was still a largely unexplored field, and Morse had little more than his curiosity and persistence to guide him. He collaborated with various scientists and engineers, but was not content with the existing theories. He was determined to create something practical, not just theoretical. Morse's breakthrough came when he devised a simple yet revolutionary method of encoding messages. He realized that instead of transmitting the actual language, he could use a system of codes, with each letter represented by a series of dots and dashes. This idea would become known as Morse code. The beauty of this system was that it could be transmitted efficiently using electrical pulses, and could be easily decoded on the other end by the recipient. To test his invention, Morse developed a working model of the telegraph, which could send electrical impulses through a wire to a distant receiver. By 1837, he had created a prototype capable of sending simple messages. However, it wasn't enough just to have a working telegraph. It needed to be reliable over long distances and in a variety of conditions. Morse continued refining his invention, overcoming obstacles such as developing better wires and improving the accuracy of signal transmission. By 1843, after years of experimentation, Morse was finally ready to demonstrate his invention to the government. He received funding from Congress to lay down a line for a telegraph system between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, Maryland. This line would be the first operational telegraph line in the United States. The device itself was simple yet ingenious. A basic lever that could tap out Morse code messages, which were received and decoded by a second machine at the other end. The simplicity and effectiveness of the telegraph made it possible for people to communicate over vast distances, a feat that had been previously unimaginable. The invention of the telegraph didn't just change the way people communicated, it changed the very fabric of society. It opened up new possibilities for business, journalism, and diplomacy, allowing for instant transmission of news and information. What started as a series of experiments and conceptual ideas soon became a breakthrough technology, making Samuel Morse one of the most influential inventors in history. The moment that marked Samuel Morse's breakthrough and the birth of global communication came on May 24th, 1844, after years of development and overcoming numerous technical hurdles. Morse finally had the opportunity to demonstrate the power of his telegraph in a groundbreaking test. With funding secured from the U.S. government, he laid the first telegraph line between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, Maryland, a distance of about 40 miles. This would be the setting for what would go down in history as one of the most significant moments in communication. On that day, Morse stood at the telegraph machine in Washington, D.C. with a sense of anticipation and excitement. His partner, Alfred Vail, was stationed at the other end of the line in Baltimore, ready to receive the message. With a single push of the key, Morse sent the message across the wire, "What hath God wrought?" These words, drawn from the Bible, specifically from the book of Numbers, held deep significance for Morse. They expressed a sense of awe and gratitude for the potential of his invention, which was about to forever change the way people would connect and share information across vast distances. When the message was successfully received in Baltimore, it confirmed that the telegraph could indeed carry information quickly and accurately over long distances. The successful transmission of the message was not only a technical triumph for Morse, but also a moment of historical significance. It proved that information could now travel instantaneously across physical barriers, which had been unthinkable just a few years earlier. This first demonstration was a turning point, as it demonstrated the viability of the telegraph as a communication tool. It wasn't just a scientific experiment. It was the dawn of a new era in global communication. The ability to send information across the country in minutes rather than days or weeks opened up countless possibilities for business, government, and personal communication. News could now be transmitted faster than ever before, and the world seemed suddenly smaller as the telegraph bridged vast distances. Following the success of this demonstration, public interest in Morse's invention surged, and the technology quickly began to spread. The telegraph's ability to deliver messages reliably and quickly led to its widespread adoption, beginning with the completion of the line between Washington and Baltimore, but expanding rapidly to other cities and countries. It wasn't long before telegraph lines connected major cities across the United States, and eventually, the invention made its way to international shores. The success of this first demonstration was not only a triumph for Samuel Morse, but also for the future of communication. laying the groundwork for the rapid advancements that followed, including the telephone, radio, and modern digital communication. Morse code, developed alongside the telegraph, was an essential component of Samuel Morse's invention that allowed for clear and efficient communication over long distances. While the telegraph was the physical device responsible for sending electrical signals, Morse code served as the language through which those signals were translated into meaningful messages. Without this innovative system, the telegraph would have had little practical use, as there needed to be a universal and simple way to convey written information. The creation of Morse code was, in many ways, a stroke of genius. Samuel Morse realized that using a direct alphabetic translation for each letter of the alphabet would make it easier for the telegraph to transmit messages efficiently. Rather than trying to send entire words, which would take up too much time and space, Morse devised a code using a combination of dots and dashes to represent each letter of the alphabet. The simplicity of Morse code allowed for messages to be sent quickly and accurately. A dot represented a short pulse of electrical current, while a dash represented a longer pulse. These short and long signals could be easily transmitted through the telegraph system, making it an ideal way to communicate in the early days of electrical communication. One of the key advantages of Morse code was its adaptability. It didn't rely on the intricacies of language and could be used in any language. Though it originally was tailored for the English alphabet, the international version of Morse code would later evolve to account for letters and characters in other languages. Its simplicity meant that even those with little or no formal training in telegraphy could learn it relatively quickly and use it to transmit messages. Morse code became a universal system for sending messages across the world. Morse code also helped overcome challenges posed by telegraphy, such as the limitations of early telegraph equipment. The mechanical nature of the early telegraphs wasn't always reliable, and long-distance transmission could cause signal loss or degradation. By using a simple code, the operator could quickly interpret even distorted or faint signals, reducing the chance of errors in the communication process. Morse code allowed for clarity in situations where other complex systems might have faltered. Over time, Morse code became the foundation of communication in various fields, especially in maritime communication. Ships across the world adopted the telegraph, using Morse code to transmit distress signals, weather updates, and messages between vessels and coastal stations. The most famous example of Morse code's life-saving role came with the sinking of the RMS Titanic in 1912, when distress signals sent in Morse code helped rescue ships reach the disaster site. Even after the development of more advanced communication technologies, such as the telephone and radio, Morse code remained in use for many years, particularly in the military and maritime sectors. It wasn't until the late 20th century that it was gradually replaced by more modern forms of communication, but its impact was undeniable. Today, Morse code remains a symbol of the ingenuity of Samuel Morse and his contribution to human communication. It serves as a reminder that a simple yet powerful idea can transcend time and remain relevant long after its initial creation. Morse code was not just a tool for transmitting messages. It was a language that enabled the world to become more connected than ever before. The invention of the telegraph had a profound and lasting impact on society, transforming nearly every aspect of life in the 19th century and beyond. Before the telegraph, communication across long distances was slow, unreliable, and dependent on physical transportation methods, such as horse-drawn mail carriers or ships that could take days or even weeks to deliver messages. The telegraph, with its ability to transmit messages almost instantaneously over great distances, broke down these barriers and revolutionized the flow of information. One of the most significant impacts of the telegraph was felt in the field of business. Trade and commerce relied on timely information, and the telegraph made it possible for business owners and merchants to communicate rapidly with partners, clients, and suppliers across cities, countries, and continents. This accelerated the pace of transactions, leading to the expansion of markets and the creation of more efficient supply chains. Stock markets, in particular, were transformed as news about stock prices and company updates could be transmitted almost instantaneously. Investors could act on this information far quicker than ever before, creating a new level of dynamism in financial markets. The telegraph also had a profound effect on journalism. News that had once taken days to travel from one city to another could now be transmitted in a matter of minutes. Newspapers, especially in major cities, could now gather reports from distant regions, enabling them to offer more comprehensive and up-to-date coverage. This not only enhanced the public's access to information, but also helped foster a new level of connectivity between different regions of the world. Global events, such as elections, wars, and natural disasters, could be reported quickly and shared across borders, making it possible for the general public to stay informed in real time. In politics and diplomacy, the telegraph became a powerful tool for governments to communicate with one another. The ability to exchange messages rapidly allowed for more coordinated and timely decision-making between nations. During critical moments in history, such as conflicts or international negotiations, the telegraph made it possible for diplomats and leaders to discuss and resolve issues much more efficiently than in the past. Military leaders, too, could communicate more effectively with troops, directing them and relaying information faster than ever before. The telegraph also played a crucial role in the expansion of the railroad system. As railroads connected more towns and cities, the telegraph helped coordinate the movement of trains, reducing the risk of accidents and allowing for the scheduling of services. In remote areas, the telegraph helped link settlements to the outside world, reducing the isolation that had previously characterized these regions. The synergy between the telegraph and the railroad made transportation and communication more streamlined, paving the way for modern infrastructure systems. One of the most far-reaching consequences of the telegraph was its effect on global connectivity. It shrank the world, allowing people from distant lands to communicate as if they were in the same room. This newfound connectivity led to the spread of ideas and culture across national and continental borders. It facilitated the exchange of scientific knowledge, ideas, and artistic trends between countries, creating a more interconnected and cosmopolitan world. On a more personal level, the telegraph changed how people experienced the world. Families who had once been separated for years due to long travel times could now send messages to loved ones across the country or ocean. This enhanced the sense of global interconnectedness, and in many ways the telegraph laid the groundwork for the telecommunications technologies that would follow, such as the telephone, radio, and eventually the internet. However, while the telegraph brought about many positive changes, it also had its challenges. The new system required a skilled workforce to operate, and telegraphy quickly became a specialized field, making it inaccessible to many people. Additionally, some critics raised concerns about the concentration of communication power in the hands of those who controlled the telegraph lines, particularly in cases where companies or governments used the technology for political or financial gain. Overall, the telegraph marked the beginning of a new era, one where information could travel across vast distances at unprecedented speed. It transformed communication from a slow physical process into an instantaneous activity, creating a ripple effect that reshaped business, politics, culture, and personal relationships. The telegraph was more than just an invention. It was the catalyst for a new way of thinking about the world, one that would continue to evolve through innovations like the telephone, radio, and the internet. The impact of Morse's invention is still felt today, as it laid the foundation for the modern, interconnected world in which we live. Samuel Morse's legacy is one that has endured for over a century, largely because of the profound and lasting impact his inventions had on the world of communication. Although he passed away in 1872, the ripple effect of his contributions continued to shape technological advancements for generations. His invention of the telegraph and the development of Morse code laid the foundation for modern telecommunications, influencing everything from the telephone to the internet and playing a crucial role in the early development of radio and television. Morse's work opened the door to the digital age, and his legacy lives on in the technologies we rely on today. While Morse was primarily recognized as an inventor, his recognition was not immediate or universal. In fact, when he first proposed his telegraph to the U.S. government, he faced skepticism and opposition, particularly from rivals and those who doubted the practicality of his invention. He spent years struggling to gain both financial support and public validation for his work, but once he proved that the telegraph worked, the floodgates opened. His first successful demonstration in 1844 was a turning point, and it quickly became clear that the telegraph was more than just a scientific curiosity. It was a revolutionary tool for transforming communication across the world. Morse's invention had an undeniable and far-reaching impact. His telegraph not only revolutionized long-distance communication, but also ushered in the age of instantaneous messaging. The widespread use of Morse code in both civilian and military applications solidified his place in history. For example, during wartime, the telegraph became a crucial tool for coordinating military strategy and transmitting intelligence. The role of the telegraph in both the Civil War in the U.S. and World War I highlighted its significance in military communication, a testament to its practical value. Despite the revolutionary nature of his work, Morse did not always receive the immediate accolades he deserved. He often found himself in legal battles over patent rights, particularly with rivals who attempted to claim credit for the telegraph. This included legal disputes with people like the inventor of the electric motor, William Cooke, and Charles Wheatstone, both of whom had also worked on the telegraph. Ultimately, Morse's patent was upheld and he secured recognition as the rightful inventor of the telegraph, but the process was challenging and contentious. Morse's contributions were also widely recognized later in his life. In 1866, a monument was erected in his honor in Central Park, New York City, acknowledging his work as one of the most significant technological achievements of the 19th century. In addition to the monument, Morse received numerous awards and honorary degrees throughout his life. He was inducted into scientific and academic circles in recognition of his groundbreaking work in the fields of electricity and communication. As his inventions continued to revolutionize the world, Morse became a symbol of American ingenuity and perseverance. His work paved the way for later inventors, such as Alexander Graham Bell, who would build upon the telegraph's principles to create the telephone. In fact, the telephone itself was developed in part as a response to the success of Morse's telegraph, demonstrating how his ideas directly influenced future technological advancements. Even in the 20th century, as newer technologies like the telephone and radio replaced the telegraph, Morse code remained in use in specialized fields. It was still an important mode of communication for the military during both world wars, especially in wartime communications where voice transmission could be difficult or unreliable. It also remained in use in maritime communication, especially in distress situations, and it has even been employed by amateur radio operators in the modern day. Morse's legacy extends beyond just his inventions. His ability to recognize the potential of electrical science and translate it into practical, transformative technologies exemplifies the spirit of innovation. He was not only a scientist and inventor, but also a visionary, looking beyond the limits of his time to create something that would forever change how humanity communicated. Today, Samuel Morse is remembered as one of the most important figures in the history of communication. His work has had a lasting impact on virtually every aspect of modern life, from the business world to global diplomacy. The technologies he helped create have shaped the modern world in ways that he could not have imagined. But his foresight, determination, and groundbreaking contributions continue to be celebrated as some of the most influential in human history. In conclusion, Samuel Morse's life was marked by visionary creativity, perseverance, and a desire to improve the world. From a talented painter to a groundbreaking inventor, his contributions have had a lasting impact on society. Samuel Morse taught us that the pursuit of knowledge, no matter the field, has the power to change the course of history. Thank you.